Good afternoon to my fellow colleagues, presenters and attendees. I'd like to firstly thank you all for joining us today on this very exciting session on World Engineering Day, which I hope will share some insight into some of the efforts being done to drive technological innovation, especially in the research industry. Before I begin my presentation, I'd just like to provide a very quick overview of the CSIR and some of the work we are currently looking at in the various different sectors that we have. Looking into our mandate, I know it looks like a bit of a mouthful, but it can be crystallized in very simple terms that we do directed multidisciplinary research and technological innovation. And we do that to ultimately foster industrial and scientific development. In all that, the aim is to ultimately improve the quality of life for South Africans. So that's basically what we do here at the CSIR. But having said that, we are also mindful of the fact that this cannot be achieved without the collaboration of the CSIR with entities in both the public and private sector. So our mandate talks directly to that, and it talks to us collaborating with people such as CESA. Now, the CSR has several innovation and technological clusters looking at various different sectors in industry, such as chemicals, mining, smart places, smart mobility. And all those technology clusters have some sort of embedded 4IR capability. And the whole idea of that is so that the CSR can actually serve as a body that is positioned in a manner that it can drive South Africa's industrialization. Now, today I'm just going to speak about the CSR Smart Mobility Cluster and some of the research we are doing and planning with industry stakeholders, as well as consultants in the transportation sector. If you look at the cluster, you can actually see there are several impact areas looking at things such as research in pavement design and construction. We have an advanced material research testing laboratory, as well as several groups looking at transport systems and operations, as well as smart logistics and management. Now, in terms of the focus in the research sector, I just want to make you aware of the current drive as a result of the fourth industrial revolution. If you look at the CSR's new strategy, for example, you will actually see that we have recognized the need to focus on 4IR technologies, particularly developed through what we call industrial development. And similarly, if you look at Sunrail, for example, and the Horizon 2030 strategy and the R&D program that they have, we'll also see a similar 4IR-based theme. And it's also the same with the University of Pretoria's Engineering 4.0 facility. So you can sort of see that there's a very clear alignment in research focus. And what's happening on our side in the research sector is that we are all working very closely together with one another in order to align our research efforts more closely. And the reason we're doing this is that so that we can actually accelerate technological innovation for industry without duplicating all our research efforts by working individually. So the next couple of slides, I just thought I'd share some of the current and future collaboration and research engagements that we have with industry, particularly in the transport sector. For example, if you look at our research group in the advanced material testing labs, the lab is actually supporting industry in many ways, such as introducing guidelines, manual standards. The lab is also involved with supporting SMMEs through training and develop technologies. In the private sector, we do a lot of evaluation on new products and innovations, and there's several partnerships that we currently have with consultants and industry. In terms of the 4IR technologies that the Advanced Material Testing Lab is looking at, we're currently establishing what we're calling a technology innovation center. And that center is actually going to be a very unique facility in the sense that it's meant to actually help us accelerate these type of technologies coming from industry. And the sort of things we're looking at is stuff like embedded sensor technologies, as well as research on circular economy products, stuff like your recycled rubbers and plastics that are currently being used to build roads in South Africa at the moment. This is just a picture of some of the research projects that I've been involved with. On the left-hand side there, that's actually a 3D scanner. 3D scanning is actually becoming a very exciting new field in the engineering sector. And what we were doing there is actually conducting 3D scans of a pavement section. On the right-hand side, you can just see some of the types of sensors we have here at the CSR that are used all around South Africa and internationally as well. And what we're trying to do is actually upgrade these sensors in line with 4IR technologies. And all that would actually fit in the Technology Innovation Center. In terms of what the guys in the coastal engineering and port infrastructure are involved with and their engagement with private sector and industry, I mean, they do actually a lot of work with the shipping industry. And the lab and modeling facility has actually been serving South Africa's ports and coastal engineers for nearly 40 years. And some of the types of research projects that they're working with together with consulting firms and various different institutes is looking at things like digital twinning as well, big data, neural networks, artificial learning, as well as looking at low-cost sensors and looking at drones as well for port applications. In terms of where I sit, we call the Pavement Design and Construction Research Group. And in there, we have several collaborative relationships with private sector, especially for material improvement. In terms of partnerships that we have with consultants, we actually regularly engage on various different research projects. And we'd also find ourselves working with various technology groups such as Much Asphalt, National Asphalt. So each of these firms would have their own individual mini technology groups driving 4IR and innovation internally. And what we've been trying to do at the CSR is to actually link up with all these various technology groups. Lastly, we also do a lot of HVS testing, both locally and internationally. And that actually allows us to collaborate with private sector and consulting firms, not just in South Africa, but also across the world. And some of the technologies that we're looking at here at the CSR in the Pavement Design and Construction Group is developing and validating your smart 4IR technologies, looking at drone technologies for transport and infrastructure asset management. We also have a very big drive on big data and big data analytics, especially on the engineering side. It's very much a focused topic that we're very much involved with as well. As mentioned, there's a lot of sensors and technologies coming into the 4IR space for smart road infrastructure. We're also looking at energy harvesting and modeling extreme events that links into all your climate adaptation of your infrastructure, as well as physical modeling and simulation. So this next slide just gives you some pictures from some of the types of work we're doing. On the right-hand side there, the big yellow machine is the CSR Heavy Vehicle Simulator. And that picture is actually from a current active site that we have in the city of Tshwane, where we are testing a road test section that has some waste plastics in there. In the top left, we're currently also working a lot on these new modified products coming in industry that are meant to help us improve our infrastructure. So it would be nice for me to expand a bit more detail on each of these projects, but unfortunately, time doesn't just allow me. But hopefully you'll just get a good idea on some of the types of projects we're working on. I thought I'd also just speak about the types of engagements they have in the transport infrastructure management side. And there they've been very successful engagements with industry on green tires with companies such as Michelin. I know the guys are also very much involved with discussions between the finance and insurance sectors as well, in terms of mobility and how claims relate to the type of data and telematics that we're looking at on our side. We also have several prediction tools that could be applicable to different consulting firms and what they're looking at. And I'm sure most of the guys involved in the bridge management side would be aware of the Struman system. So that's still very much an ongoing project and support function that the CSR is still offering for industry. In terms of the 4IR technologies, what we're looking at is digital solutions for public transport, as well as the focus on data portals. So a lot of the times what happens here at the CSR is that we have access to huge amounts of data, not only just from our active projects, but as well from our historic projects. So this data could actually be relevant to the consulting sector of South Africa. And what we're trying to do now is to try and get this data accessible to the public so that they can actually use it for stuff like data analytics and improving decision making. So there's a very big drive on developing a smart mobility data portal and looking at stuff like your asset management data, your smart road network data, and so forth. So it's very much a very big drive at the moment. Now, in terms of key research initiatives, I thought I'd just like to speak about two initiatives that we're looking at here at the CSR with people from industry that are relevant in the context of this webinar. The first one is what we call the CSR Young Industrialists Forum, or the YIF. This forum is actually looking to identify and develop areas of potential collaboration between the CSR and the construction industry. So the CSR is hoping to get these young industrialists to engage with industry and to learn more about their current activities, challenges, and future strategies, particularly around 4IR technologies and innovation, and just to see how we can collaborate a bit better. And there I just put some of the type of topics again that we're looking at as part of the YIF and speaking to industry about as well. The second major research initiative that's been is actually been active in industry is what is termed as the Sunrail Research and Development Program. Now, this program actually was established in 2019, and there were several workshops held on different topics ranging from pavements, asset management, traffic, structures, etc. And these workshops were actually attended by registered researchers. We had people from Sunrail there. We had various stakeholders from the public and private sector, including consultants and contractors. And we basically sat down for a week, brainstorming ideas and innovations and where we see the opportunity going forward. And what came out from there is close to 60 project ideas addressing various different challenges that we have in industry. And the idea is to actually start doing research in these various topics. So I actually would like to recommend that as many people from the consulting industry get involved in the next round of this R&D program, just so that we can help further drive ideas and innovations for the next round of research projects and topics. In terms of just an example of how we actually engage with industry and various stakeholders and how we actually use it to accelerate innovation, I just want to give a very brief summary of a quick research project that I was involved with. And it's on NME Roads. Now, I don't know if everyone is familiar with it. It's basically what they call nano-organosilane modified roads. So these roads actually have what we call organosilanes or nanopolymer-based emulsions that are already being used internationally for various applications, including road stabilization. So now from our point of view as the CSR, we have identified together with the various DOTs that this technology could actually help improve South Africa's road network and help us get all our roads in good condition at very much reduced cost. But the technology remains unproven because just because it works overseas doesn't really mean that it would be suitable for South Africa. So then what happened is the CSR, together with the DOTs, Sunrail, various academic institutions, and consultants and private sector engaged in what we call a research program with the aim of localizing the technology as well as optimizing it and also trying to fast track its implementation if it actually works successful. So the CSR would obviously work on the literature and the feasibility studies, on all the boring research work, I would say, but to also at the same time engaging with industry right along as we go. Then we'd also look at full-scale lab testing, developing some preliminary protocols, hosting information and hosting seminars and workshops for industry, as well as looking to build trial sections, which is what was done in this particular research project. Then we'd actually want to proof test the technology in an accelerated way. And the CSR is fortunate on the pavement engineering side that we have the heavy vehicle simulator. And that actually gives us a fast-track answer on whether this technology actually would work for South Africa or not. And for example, the HVS test that we done on NME Roads, there were various consultants, contractors, DOTs, academics involved right throughout the process. So what's happening now is that we're looking to further develop all this research data that we have. And what we want to do is get, ultimately, you want to release guidelines, protocols, develop your pavement models and standards and specifications for the consulting engineers to use. I mean, it's no use that we do all this wonderful research and it just stays internally at the CSR. The whole aim of what we're trying to do now with this new strategy is to get the actual research relevant to industry so it can be implemented in a much faster way than was done in the past. So what I see as the way forward, I think we definitely need to engage further with private sector as well as the consulting engineering sector, just to further pave a way for technological implementation. And I think one clear route I can see is that we can try to enhance the private sector's role in piloting new products and technologies coming from our side, but also vice versa. What I mean by that is a lot of the times, people in industry might have a problem or a need for a technology or product that we as the CSR might have already, but there's just no awareness of it. Or the reverse, for example, I mean, we might have a research question on our side, but we don't really have the skills or the actual technological know-how on how to actually use these innovations. So I think that definitely from my side, I think we have to focus a lot of energy on improving the engagement between the research and consulting side. And what I was thinking of is that looking at the CSR Young Industrialists Forum and the CESA Young Professionals Forum, I think we definitely could look at further collaboration between such bodies, because I honestly think that the best people to lead or accelerate innovation in our industry is youth. And the CSR has been looking at trying to engage with various young professionals, especially in the consulting engineering sector. And I think it's definitely something to look at going forward. And then obviously we definitely would like to align our research and all our technology and innovations to the needs and requirements from industry, especially in the context of 4IR. I hope that gives a very brief summary on some of the work that we're looking at. Hopefully it will raise some curiosity as well. But yeah, if anyone wants to know on how they can engage with us and get involved on some of the projects, please feel free to reach out. Thank you very much.